Peter,
Okay.
good evening.
Good evening, Matt.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm looking forward to Monday again.
We were just saying that you're not even looking forward to Friday either.
Oh, just to get over every week.
So Peter, like with all my guests, I'm not going to steal your thunder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the floor to you and allow you to introduce yourself.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Peter Donnelly. I am currently the Group IT Manager for the Keystone Group of Companies. We're based out of Mid Ulster in Northern Ireland. Um, Keystone Group are an Indigenous manufacturer in Northern Ireland. We started here. We've grown to over 20 something locations across the UK and Ireland, into Europe, and are breaking into Canada and North America now. So what do? We are a building components manufacturer. So what that means is the things that we make are for building buildings. So we started off in, I think, 1989. Could be wrong with the years there. Um, with the Keystone lintels, and the lintel is basically a load bearing product that sits above a window or a
Yeah.
door, allows you to build on top of. So that's our main product, or one of the main products that we have in our business. And then we've moved into other areas. So we have many different products. We have lintels, we have masonry support. We make roof windows. We're the second fastest growing roof window manufacturer in Europe.
Yeah.
We have a very innovative smart roof product, which is effectively just the roof of your house on the back of a lorry. It just comes in and
Okay.
set it on your house. So that
Yeah.
takes all that void space and turns it into something useful. We have an Elements company, which is a glass reinforced plastic
Yeah.
product for making various different other external um, parts of the house, so that makes it faster and easier and cheaper to get those things as well. So I am forgetting products, so sorry if I am forgetting them, but we just seem to be
Okay.
constantly making new companies all the time,
Yeah.
and making new products. Kind of our that's how we grow. We make a new product, make a new company to sell that product, and then we sell it. And they're all sort of very complementary with one another as well. We also make roof trusses and floors and doors. So yeah, we never stop. It never ever stops. It never stops. It just
And
seems snowballs and snowballs.
I
So that's
I'll
where
be completely
we
honest, right? So like maybe 18 months to 2 years ago, if you told me who Keystone were, if you said Keystone, I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have an idea. But I've recently gone through some building work at a property that I owned,
Mhm.
and I remember buying Keystone lintels for all of the works on the extensions. And then
Yeah,
from what you've just said, and I mean this in probably the most respectful way that I can possibly say it is, it's a
sure.
company that you may not have heard of, but that does massive things which are super important that you wouldn't know about.
Absolutely. Everybody needs the products that we have.
Right.
Absolutely. And we're in most residential buildings,
Yeah.
right? You see our products somewhere there, right? And we want more of that. I think the thing for us, though, it's very important that we maintain the synergies. It's a delicate balance in the construction industry, right? Um, and we're very aware that it's hard building houses. It's tough. We
Mm.
love the fact that people build houses. We love bricklayers. We admire bricklayers. We think bricklayers are engineers.
Hmm.
Their guys are awesome, and our products are there to help make their lives easier. That's what it's about. Allowing those guys who we depend on, who the country depends on, right,
Sure.
making their lives easier, right, and talking
Yeah.
their language and making it easy for them to build their houses, to get their outcomes, to do their jobs. And And that's kind of what we are, kind of like a service company for those guys, you know.
So
So it makes it easier. Our products make it easier for them to achieve their outcomes. And that's where we are. So we make good products. We make great products, in fact. And I think we're product focused, innovation focused, but the outcomes that we produce are for the customer. So it's customer oriented. We change, we change because our customer says we need you to be like this. And so
yeah,
we become like that.
okay,
Okay. And we become like that through how we do our business and the products that we make. So the success has been listening to customers and being what the customers want us to be. So I think that's a good way to do things. It's a really good way to do things. And in an age where some people might feel that customer service is dying, I would safely say that customer service is our key performance indicator.
okay. So we've got all of this stuff that's going on in the business, right? And all of this expansion and all of these new products and stuff. So that's like the business, not transformation as such, but that's the the business objectives. Let's
Yeah.
talk about technology. So give us some examples then of ongoing projects or recent technology transformations which support all of that other stuff that the business is trying to do.
I don't really like the word transformation because transformation in my head kind of means that you're going down a wrong path, right? It's not a transformation, it's just an evolution. You're moving forward. You're not steering the ship in an entirely different direction. It's just a go this way, we better go that way, we better. So transformational wise, I think we're kind of been forced a little bit by the big players to adopt more cloud because, well, it's a two-way thing. It's cheap now for us to go to cloud, whereas before it wouldn't have been quite as cheap to
Mm,
do so. And so looking at the cost of doing something versus what you actually got for it was like, no. So we're moving to Office 365 now. A great deal of our service will still remain on premises, right? But we will move parts of our business to Office 365. We already have other parts of our business on Office 365 for SharePoint and OneDrive and all that
yeah.
desktop sort of personal administration stuff.
Mhm.
Moving more of that to Office 365, just purely because of the burgeoning amount of email that we're getting. We're processing the email, gigabytes and gigabytes of email every single day. And yeah, and with the best will in the world, I wish we didn't have such a dependency on email, right?
Mm,
I think organizations would do better if we could sort of try to deprioritize email or try to get away from using email to
yeah.
underpin their business. But and I would love to do that, and I have said in the past that I think it would be sensible for us to try to do that.
Yeah.
But the best will in the world, there's not. So we're doing the Office 365 thing. So that's just an ongoing piece of work. We're also trying to pull our business together right now with a one telephone system. I call it one voice, a key voice. Which is just one telephone system. So rather than being independent companies and the cost of running ISDN, so we just basically one big telephone system, one way of getting our customers closer to us. So customers don't have to phone that number or the phone that number, they just phone
Yeah.
whatever number and we'll make sure they get to where they need to go to. So that makes interacting with us smoother, faster, easier. So that's another thing that we have going on as well. Ongoing things like we have North America now as well. So we'll be focusing on that. We just finished a big VDI project.
Okay.
That was a great piece of work. So that's just the last of the people were migrated onto that 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Um, and we're just about to go into a new WAN project. So we've signed a deal with BT. So BT were very good with us.
Yeah.
And we've signed a deal with BT. So we're about to go into planning for a new wide area network. So that's another thing. There's a
Busy
few.
then.
We're always busy. And like I say, you're always busy. You're always doing something. You always have a goal. whether it be because you're trying to save money, or you're trying to improve a service, or you're trying to improve the service that you provide to the business. There's always something to do. There's always something. But so you are always busy. I think it's hard whenever you're too busy, because you're not able to give any particular subject enough time and attention.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
So yeah, so it's always busy. It's always busy, Matt. But everybody's busy.
Yeah.
Everybody, if you want to be busy and you want to do a good job, you're going to be busy.
So I got the themes picked up on, consolidation, obviously, because of the numbers and, the bringing that telephone system together. Migrating stuff up to Microsoft 365. So I'm guessing that's due to a level of simplicity, and also the cost benefit trade-off is increased now. So
that particular one is to keep an eye on cost. So,
okay.
If you take email, let's say, Matt, you have a 100 gig email box or mailbox on a system that I provide on premises versus paying Microsoft to have that. That's absolute cost save. That's an absolute cost save. And we multiply that by 1,000. There's tens of thousands of pounds to be saved every year doing it that way. Tens of thousands. There's no doubt. I couldn't provide mail on premises at the same cost as Microsoft are now. So it's always about improving the service, improving the uptime, reducing the cost.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things that are always the drivers, right? So, and just further rationalization as we buy other companies. So, since 2019, the Keystone Group have been buying one or two companies every year, and that's how we're growing. And if that company is going to become part of a larger one of our business units, then we have to assimilate that company, and then they have to start doing things the way all the other businesses are doing things, because it's a systemized company. So it's kind of just ongoing, Matt. And then just as the years go by, something needs to be refreshed. Like last year, we done a network refresh of our infrastructure. That took about a year to wash that through. So it's just ongoing. There's natural atrophy and natural replacement, and then other things are a little bit more. Oh, that's a good idea. Let's go in that direction. So
yeah.
It's just always innovating. It's always moving in the right direction for the right thing. So.
You're speaking then, and you're working with vendors quite a lot.
Yes.
So let's have a chat about that topic. So how I like to position this question is that you of course, as the group head of IT, right, you have a mandate to bring technology on board, the right technology, the most innovative technology, et cetera, et cetera. You have mandate to bring technology on board. Absolutely. Vendors do the exact same, but in opposite. So they have the mandate to try and get you to bring your technology on board. And
big map between the two.
Yeah. And there's no sin in either of those projects, but the way that they come together sometimes is a little bit frayed and chaotic, and maybe not as efficient as it possibly could be, I feel. So my question to you would be, and you could probably spend all day talking about this, but I'll simplify it and say, my question to you is, how would you like to simplify that vendor buyer relationship?
This comes from a place of experience, too much bad experience, not enough good experience, and with genuinely the hope that it helps, right? I think these days, and just particularly maybe in the last 2 years, but we'll cast the net a little bit wider than that. There has been a mushrooming in the amount of vendors that have come to the market, and their goal is to make money, right? And my goal is to solve problems. Okay, and you're right. There's two sides to that coin. They have to make money. You have to get customers. I have to get product and solutions. Right. My challenge or frustration, perhaps, is that whenever I do engage with vendors or vendor resellers, the thing that I find that they don't do very well is try to understand the problem. They try first to understand their product, right? So that they can talk about their product. Okay. But there's there's not enough empathy in understanding why I might even be talking to them in the first place. Right. So the people who I find historically who succeed in this game are the people who seek to before they talk. And those people who ask the right questions and genuinely get into that next level of conversation so that you can reveal warts and all, weaknesses and all, the true problem, right? And those people who are then able to, sorry about the blips going on in my computer, those people are the ones that I find are the most valuable. Those vendors, whenever their people are supported to be like that, are the ones that I find are the most valuable. Right.
Okay.
So that's how I look at it, and I know that I'm right in saying that, and I know that I'm looking for that in a vendor or in a salesperson, right? But the problem is there are just not enough people like that. They're oh, do you know we can do this here? Do you know we can do this here? And I go, well, do you know that you could ask me what my problem is, and then they can agree whether you can help me or not.
Yeah.
So it's a mindset change that I would love to see in more people, because there's a lot of good people out there trying to, make their way in the world that sell technology, and there's so many awesome technologies out there, but the people selling them are not selling them correctly.
Okay.
And that's my own opinion,
Yeah.
right? So seek to understand the problem more before coming with a solution. I think that's my key takeaway from that.
Okay. So, loads that I could paraphrase in that, but I'm going to try and summarize it in a couple of sentences. And I would say that what you're looking for is a consultant, and not in the phrase that a consultant is going to come in and diagnose your problems for you, but you want someone who's going to come in and consult with you about what the problem is, listen to what you're trying to achieve, rather than pushing product before you get to that stage. So
Absolutely, all day long.
yeah, and me personally, I think that's what a professional salesperson should be. Someone who will come to you and try and listen to what you're trying to achieve, diagnose what the issues are, and then suggest possible resolutions. And not sell you possible resolutions, suggest to you possible resolutions, and help you make the decision to see whether it's possible that it could work for you.
I think another way you might want to look at this, Matt, right, is that it's the relationship first, right? It's you get on with me, I get on with you, the trust, the rapport happens. Then that rapport channel is established then the truth can flow between people. And then if you're the solution provider, brilliant. It's just a matter of negotiating then. But people are too quick. Everything you've said is absolutely correct there, right? It's absolutely correct. But another way to put it is just establish the relationship first. I think I've seen it somewhere one time before, and it has been true to say, right? Somewhere you've probably seen it on LinkedIn. Those people who are successful in establishing a business relationship, are those who kept keeping in contact with one another, right? So you may have had 6 or 8 or 10 communications with the person before you even got a chance, right? But because you stayed and kept going and kept going in a nice way, that's where the success was, because you tried to establish that human,
Okay.
right? And yeah, and I certainly know that the people who I deal with, and they know who they are because I spend a lot of money with them, is purely because the relationship that I have with them, which is based on honesty, visibility, trust, transparency, all those very, very human things. And, if you can get a person who has a great product and a great service and is a good human being at the start, and can establish a good human relationship, you're on a win. Like, you're on a win, definitely.
I'm going to touch upon something else that you said earlier, and it's a
Yes,
phrase which just stuck out, and it's that there's a lot of good people, there's a lot of good technology, but it's being sold in the wrong way.
absolutely correct.
So
They're,
when
you can tell an American company, right? Whenever their first communication is, I want to secure 5 minutes in your diary to talk to you. No, tell me who you are. Tell me who you are. Let's talk a wee bit, and then we can talk about that afterwards. The way they do that, there is just no part of that. No, that doesn't work for me. So
So
yeah,
what are some other examples then of what you said of technology being sold wrong? Give me some examples of what you think that actually, manifests itself as.
I I think false people who are overly friendly or overly open at the very start, right? Trying to sort of convince me that this type of a person, right? Within the first 5 minutes, I hate, the one thing I absolutely despise is I hate being called Pete, right? I mean, I have no problem with whenever I'm warm to a person, right? But if a person comes on the phone and calls me Pete straight away, it's a big red flag,
Right.
So trying to be too charming too quickly, you know. Um, I would love to be able to tell you exactly what the first conversation or we should go like,
Yeah.
but it should be more open and honest questions as opposed to questions that lead in a particular direction. Do you find, Peter, that you have a problem with, you know, have you ever seen those kind of? You
I
find that you have
know,
a
I know.
do you find you have a problem with this? And I goes, well, I'm sure you probably have a solution for that one, or rather than actually just asking a question as if you're interested. Do you know that kind of way? It's like you're not leading me. I can, I'm doing the job for 3 decades.
Mm.
You're not leading me now. Just ask an honest question, and you'll get an honest answer. So
Yeah.
I think the infrastructure salespeople are those salespeople are going to have that type of challenge as they're dealing with older IT managers now.
Mhm.
You know, I guess I'm a demographic of IT person that I'm still, even though I'm a technology person, I'm still not sort of technology first when I'm doing business. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh,
People
I'm
and
still
relationship.
very, very legacy, very legacy. Establish the trust, and then we can work out how you can get things done for me when that's done, because I know that trust's there first. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, yeah, of course. So,
Oh,
um, any other bugbearers that you can think of? That you mentioned that questioning style, the 5 minute thing. Any other real bugbearers?
I, if you're an account manager, or let's say you're an account manager and you've taken over a new account, actually know the account, right? I've had to ask for changes in account manager because I've asked them questions that I feel an account manager should know very, very, very easily, and they don't know. And I just think, well, why are you an account manager if you don't know my account?
Mhm.
If you don't know what I've spent in the last 3 years, you should know that, because it's foundational
Yeah.
to how you're going to move forward for the next 1 year or 2 years. So yeah,
Right.
just know your account as well. So
And then the flip side to that, I would say, so let's say that someone wants to book a meeting with you for the first time. I think I know how this answer is going to go as well, but I'm going to let you say it yourself. So if someone just does want to book some, time with you in the first time, and they've got a hypothesis, they're well read, well researched. How does someone actually position themselves to be of value to you, and to be able to get that chance to present their hypothesis to you?
again, going back to those things we talked about establishing that relationship and giving me the trust, that giving the sense that you're worth talking to, from a human perspective. We get that out of the way, right? And then I'll, if I sense that you're honest and you're transparent, right, you you will get that time with me, right? You may not, and what I do say to them, and this is true, and because it is true, is that I'll say, look, I may not have anything for you in the next 3 months that where you can make money from me, or where you can do something for me, but I will absolutely, definitely keep you in mind and come back to me in 3 months' time. And people do that.
Mm.
And usually after 1 or 2 times where I've had to put them off because I didn't have anything for them, but they kept in contact, and we talked and we kept in contact. Then whenever I was able to create an opportunity for them, I created that opportunity for them, right?
Okay.
And because I stuck to my word, they were very grateful for that, and they tried very, very hard to represent me best
Mm.
whenever they were doing a deal for me.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
completely.
Right. So it's all about that trust thing. Another thing I would say that just jumped into my head, right? And this is one thing. This is something that happens a lot with particularly younger people, right? Because they think they're saying something I want them to want to hear. But this is another red flag to me, is that if you say you're going to do something, do it. Okay. If you don't do it, I'll remember that you didn't do it, that you said you were going to do it and you didn't do it. So
Yeah.
whenever we speak again, I'll say you didn't do that. If you're not going to do that now, what are you not going to do if we get into business together?
Yeah.
That's the thing. So if you've had a conversation and you say you're going to do something, follow through. It means the word.
Okay. So loads and loads of stuff, my
Yeah.
friend. Loads and loads of stuff. And
Absolutely, absolutely right. Well, totally. We are reliant on vendors. We need vendors. We need good technology. We need better technology. We need simpler and faster and cheaper. It never stops. If I've brought on 3 different technologies in the last 12 months, retired one, we might have 70 or 80 different applications and 30 or 40 different services that we provide to our business as a catalog of services. So it never stops, right? They get better, they change, they upgrade, they retire, they're bought over. There's a whole pile of things goes on with vendors and their technology. And yeah, it just never stops,
okay.
you know. So
So, and a kind of similar question, but in a different vein. So, a lot of people that I speak to, they say that they would rather speak to they would rather speak to their network rather than speaking to a vendor first. So, if they've got a problem or if they're evaluating something, they would go to their peer network rather than reaching out to a vendor to try and get some more information. Would you agree? Is that something that you do?
I it depends on whether I know that my existing connections are I can do what I am wanting to do, right? I will do the research first, and I'll understand my problem the best that I can understand my problem first.
Mhm.
Then I'll do my own research because I'm a geek, right? And I'll try and find the solution myself. And if the people who I already deal with, the 4 or 5 major parties that I already deal with, can do something, then I'll talk to them in the first instance. But that doesn't mean that I will only talk to them, because if you're dealing with something that's going to cost £250,000 or £500,000, right? You have to talk to other people. You're
Yeah.
just not doing the job correctly if you're not. But yeah, it depends. The answer is it depends. Every single case is different. If BT can do something for me that I'm looking, that's the thing that I want to do next, I'll talk to BT, and if they're the right people to do that, they'll get the business. If they're not, it'll be somebody else. So it's a 50-50. Every time it's a 50-50, right?
Okay.
You could be the people to do it, but maybe you're not every time. So it just depends. It's on a case-by-case basis, but there's a path of least resistance as well, Matt. If BT are good and they've got great account management, I know people sometimes like to poo-poo BT, but for me, my relationships with BT in Northern Ireland, because it's a small business in Northern Ireland, it's a small company, it's a big company, it's a small, I know a lot of people in BT.
Yeah.
They do a lot of work for me. So that's almost like the path of least resistance, but they know that I'll keep them on their toes when it comes to cost and contracts and the details of the contract and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, it really depends, Matt. Do I ever talk to a vendor without having spoken to somebody who I deal with? Yes, occasionally, because the people I deal with don't do that. Right. I'll give you a prime example. We deal with a company called Peer. Am I allowed to mention
You can
vendors?
mention whoever you want.
Right. Well, this is particularly good technology. It's it underpins a few applications that maybe wouldn't work so well in our business if we didn't have them. So it's a company called Peer Software. They're a German software company that creates a distributed file system around our business. So we shift perhaps 300 or 400 gigabytes, 500 gigabytes of data every day around between sites, so that available to whichever engineer needs it in the fastest amount of time possible. And those guys, we didn't have anybody who done what Peer now do for us. So that was an example of one of those companies that we done a bit of research, we spoke internally, we talked about the different vendors, that what we thought were the right vendors to talk to, and then we reached cold to them. And those guys they're the guy that we deal with in Peer is such a cool guy. And he's been there for years and years and years now.
Yeah.
And just every year it's a case of, okay, we need to renew for another year.
Yeah.
That kind of way? Because that's what it's got to. So that's an example of one where we didn't have a relationship with anybody who could do that, and we reached it. We done it ourselves first. So yeah, so it depends. It's a case by case basis. Case by
Okay.
case.
So we've got maybe 3 or 4 minutes left,
Sure.
and I wanted to I'm going to give you the floor again, and
Okay.
if you had to summarize, your advice to vendors and sales and marketing organizations who are listening to this, who want to do what they do, which is generate money and make that sale. How can they do that in a better way? What's your advice?
Build relationships, build trust, right? Have people who know their products, but know their customer's problem as equally as they know the product that they're selling. So be that person that creates that closes that gap between here's where the product problem ends, here's where the solution starts, and be that person that pulls those two things together in with honesty, transparency, trust, knowledge, and a genuine desire to do a customer service, right? So we're not talking to you because it would be nice to talk to you. We're talking to you because we have to talk to you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And sort of make that work and keep that going, right? Build a relationship that lasts.
Okay.
That's it. And I know it sounds, I don't know, maybe it sounds corny. I don't know. All I all I know is it works, right? It works. You know, you cannot expect to make 50 grand or 100 grand off somebody who's the only reason why you know his second name is because you read it off a field in the CRM.
Okay.
Okay. And that's it. It's trust all the way, all the way. Because that's what people want. You know, people want to trust you, Matt, they'll deal with you. They don't want to trust you, they'll not deal with you. And that's it. And just more of that, people first.
Okay. And with
That,
that, I think that's the mic drop
that's
that
it.
I'm going to use to
Just
say.
another morning again, Matt. Monday morning.
Peter, thank you so much for giving some of your time. That was very interesting, very useful, very insightful. And hopefully you get loads of people now reaching out to you, offering you services because they've seen what you're working on.
Well, I hope that, I just hope they make it easier for the me's that are around the place and make it easier for themselves as well. And maybe make a few friends along the way. You know.
Sure.
Good man.
Cool. Thank you very much, Peter.
Right,
Have a great evening.
man.